Why get the iPad mini when you can get this, the Galaxy Z Fold6? With phones unfolding into tablets, is it worth having two devices when you can just have one that can do it all? In this video, I'll compare the iPad mini 6 to the Z Fold 6, but focus more on the tablet side of things. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start off with the designs because one clearly has an advantage over the other. The iPad mini is your typical slab device, while the Z Fold 6 can fold in half. It's really nice to be able to slide it right in your pocket. Now, I'm not saying you can't do the same with the iPad mini, they'll just look a little weird. It's better off in a small pouch or bag. The iPad mini is only 6.3mm thin compared to 5.6mm on the unfolded Fold. When it's folded, it's 12.1mm. Here's how thick it is versus normal phones, the Pixel 8 Pro and Nothing Phone 2. I'll add the other dimensions on the screen. And for the weight, the Fold 6 weighs about 239 grams, while the iPad mini is about 293 grams. Both devices have similar build quality. The iPad mini has an aluminum back and sides with a glass front, while the Fold 6 has a glass back and front with an aluminum frame. And the main display uses ultra-thin glass with a plastic film. On the top of the iPad, you'll find volume buttons, a Touch ID power button, speaker, and dual microphones. And along the bottom, there's the other speaker and USB-C port. Nothing's on the left side, but the right has a magnetic cutout for the Apple Pencil, and a SIM card tray if you went for the cellular model. On the Fold 6, there's a speaker and microphones on the top, SIM card tray, volume buttons, and a fingerprint reader power button on the right side, and a speaker, mic, and USB-C port on the bottom. And the left side is the hinge. The Fold 6 is now IP48 water resistant, while the iPad mini has no rating at all. The iPad mini starts at $500 for 64 gigs, while the Fold 6 starts at $1,900 for 256 gigs. If you're interested in the Galaxy Z Fold 6, I'll leave a link in the description box below. Alright, next up are those displays. Again, one of them has a big advantage or disadvantage depending on how you look at it. On paper, the Fold 6 wins, hands down. It has two displays and they're both AMOLED, 120Hz with up to 2600 nits peak brightness. The iPad mini, on the other hand, is only LCD at 60Hz with 500 nits. It is bigger at 8.3 inches compared to the Fold 6's 7.6-inch main display. The cover display is only 6.3 inches. In terms of the aspect ratio, the Fold 6 is 20.9 by 18, which makes videos look smaller due to letterboxing. The iPad mini has a much better 1.5 by 1 aspect ratio for videos. Here's how they look side by side. You can fill the screen on both, but quite a bit of content gets cropped out. One area where the Fold's main display really shines is with productivity, but I'll talk more about that later. The cover screen has a 22.1 by 9 aspect ratio, but it's a little too tall and narrow for me. If it was wider like the Pixel Fold or OnePlus Open, then it'd be perfect. As for the crease, it's still there, but I barely notice it. So the one thing I don't like are third-party apps on Android tablets. Most of them are blown-up phone apps, like look at Twitter, Threads, and Amazon. I prefer using these apps on the cover screen, but some apps like Settings, Spotify, and YouTube are optimized for the larger screen. They either have a 2-column view or sidebar. On the iPad mini, all of the apps are optimized, except for a few like Instagram and Threads. I'm going to open a few apps for comparison. It's not Samsung's fault though, since it's mainly up to developers to update their apps. For this next part, I was going to talk about performance, but it wouldn't be a fair comparison considering the iPad mini is almost 3 years old. But I'll leave the specs on the screen in case you're interested, so I'll go over productivity instead. I mentioned earlier that the Fold 6 has mostly phone apps, but here's where it works out. The main display can run 2 full-height apps, and it looks like you're having 2 normal phones stuck together. You can even take things further by having 3 apps open, plus pop-out windows, and picture-in-picture. It does get a little crazy, and if you really wanted to, you can play 2 games at once like Honkai Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero with the Gamester's G8+. The iPad mini can have 3 apps open, but it's not as flexible as Android. There's only split screen and slide over. Stage Manager isn't supported, so no app windows or resizing. The Fold 6 also has DeX, which turns it into a desktop-like computer, but I'd rather work on a real one. The Fold 6 is also a phone, so you can make phone calls and send messages. The iPad mini can't do that out of the box without an iPhone or workarounds. The cameras on the Fold 6 are a lot better than the iPad mini. It's a triple camera system, a 50 megapixel wide, 10 megapixel telephoto, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide versus the iPad mini's single 12 megapixel wide camera. Photos and videos are a step down from flagships, but I'll take these over the iPad minis any day. Battery life is mostly the same on both devices. It's not great, but they can still last the entire day. Apple and Samsung have great ecosystems. Laptops, tablets, and phones sync with one another. Even watches and earbuds sync. But if you were thinking about getting the Fold 6 or iPad mini, it all comes down to how deep you're in an ecosystem. If all you have are Apple products, then it'll be difficult to add a Samsung device into the mix. You'll lose a lot of the continuity features unless you already use cross-platform apps. Overall, the Galaxy Z Fold 6 is capable of being a mini-sized tablet, but it all depends on what you'll be using it for and which ecosystem you're already in. Would you get the Fold 6 or iPad mini? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll be notified when I post new videos. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye!